In the post-draft lottery interview that was just live streamed, Kent Hughes says it's not probable, but it's not impossible that the Habs might move the 5th overall pick. I'll be breaking down a few of the comments that I saw in this edition of Habs Digest. Hello, bonjour, ahoy, and welcome to today's quick post-draft lottery reaction edition of Habs Digest. I'm your host, Josh Gosse, and if you guys just watched the live stream, I just live streamed my reaction to the draft lottery. Super excited the Habs got a top 5 pick. I mean, you know what? Top 5 pick, we all wanted Connor Bedard for sure, but a top 5 pick guarantees you one of Will Smith or Matvei Michkov, and Kent Hughes was asked a lot about Matvei Michkov in his post-draft lottery interview. And so I'll start off by talking a bit about what he said about Michkov. He essentially said that when it comes to Matvei Michkov, of course he knows the concerns. Of course, all the GMs know the concerns. But when it comes to the Montreal Canadiens, Kent Hughes wants to pick the player who has the best long-term potential for the team. And for me, I was there in the comments. I said, to me, that sounds like Matvei Michkov, or that sounds like Will Smith, or if Leo Carlson's available, why not him? Because we all know Connor Bedard and Adam Fantilli are going 1 and 2. That's almost a certainty at this point. But when it comes to the 5th overall pick, to me, it's a very interesting place to be, and Kent Hughes kind of said the same thing, right? His point is that he wants to evaluate these prospects. There's still time to evaluate them, and he wants to see what their skill is like, how they would project long-term on the Montreal Canadiens. And for Montreal, one of their needs is another top-end center. For me, that could be Will Smith. But he also said, when asked specifically about Matvei Michkov and what kind of talent he brings to the table, Kent Hughes specifically said that, like, hey, he said this part in French, but if we have the 5th overall pick and we determine that Matvei Michkov and his skill is significantly better than the other prospects that might be available at that spot, I can't tell you that we won't take him. Like, he wasn't full on like, we are going to be doing this or that, because of course he's not going to do that. He's not going to reveal any of Montreal's tricks, any of Montreal's plans before the draft lottery, because, you know, he doesn't want other GMs to know what he's doing. He doesn't want to spoil anything. But from what he said, I have a strong suspicion that Montreal will go with either Will Smith or Matvei Michkov, and I would almost be willing to put money on that. We don't have a sports betting sponsor at Habs Digest, yes, but if we did, I'd be telling you your daily bet is the bet on the Habs taking one of those two guys. Simply because, again, I think they project to be the best long-term fit for Montreal. Of course, Matvei Michkov is over in Russia until 2025-26 when his contract ends with Sochi. But he has been touted as the best player other than Bedard and the best Russian prospect we have seen probably since Alex Ovechkin. His shot is it would be one of the best in the NHL if he came in today. Same thing with Connor Bedard. The only things he'd have to work on, maybe a bit of his defensive skills and his maybe he wouldn't go 1-on-1 or 1-on-3 as much as he does now. But based on Kent Hughes' reactions, that report from the other day that we mentioned in our episode of Habs Digest sort of said that an RDS reporter, I think it was Stéphane Leroux, said that he would be shocked, étonné, if Montreal took Matvei Michkov if they had that 5th overall pick. But now that's a reality, and that you got to put your money where your mouth is if you're Montreal. Like, listen, we got a top 5 pick, and in this draft, there's basically a consensus 5 players who are going to go in the first 5. It's Connor Bedard, Adam Fantilli, Leo Carlson, Matvei Michkov, and Will Smith. Whether they'll end up in that order, who knows? But when it comes to Montreal, who else do you take? Let's say you don't take Matvei Michkov. Let's say you don't take Will Smith because he's not available. Who do you go down and pick? Do you pick someone like Dvorsky? Do you go kind of off the board and pick a right-hand defenseman, someone that fits the team need a bit better in Reinbacher? I would really disagree with that pick. I think picking best player available is the best thing to do. But that's also what Kent Hughes said he was going to do. He said, we are picking best player available. And to me, that's always my philosophy going into these drafts. How many times have you saw a team pick for fit? Montreal's done it a few times, notably the Kotkaniemi thing, although Kotkaniemi looks like he's coming along pretty well with Carolina right now. But you pick the best player available, because you can make everything else work around this player. And Kent Hughes said that. He said, we're picking best player available. We want to look at the best long-term fit. So that is amazing. But what he also said, other than we're taking the best player available, we're looking at Will Smith, we're looking at Matvei Michkov, he was asked, Kent, do you think that there's a possibility that you can move this 5th overall pick? I mean, we looked at the draft just last year, and you moved around some draft picks on draft night. You got Kirby, Dach. Like, is it? What would you say? Would you say it's probable, or maybe not probable, that you trade away the 5th overall pick in this draft? And he was kind of said, he looked at the camera in French. Of course, this part was in French as well. He said, well, I would say it's not very probable, but it's not impossible. So Kent Hughes could be open to trade the 5th overall pick. And in a draft like this, where all the guys in the top 5 would have gone number 1 last year, I don't care how high you are on Slafkovsky. Look, I love Slafzilla. Whoop, no, not that. I love Slafzilla. I'm a massive, massive fan of Slafzilla. But if he was in the draft this year, Juraj Slafkovsky would probably go somewhere between 5 and 10. Maybe 6 and 10, somewhere around there. Maybe even Dvorsky would go ahead of him. And it's just the way it is. It's just the way classes work. A first overall pick in one draft is not worth the first overall pick in another. Just so happens that Montreal's year they got the first, they got Slafkovsky, who still has a ton of room to develop, and I still think will be an amazing NHLer, but he just wouldn't be a top 5 pick in this year's draft. So when the teams are coming looking at Kent Hughes and they see Montreal just got a top 5 pick, which by the way was only like a 40% chance that Montreal stayed in the top 5. It was, I think, about a 60% chance that they went to number 6 or number 7. But Montreal's there with a number 5 pick now. So another team can guarantee themselves essentially one of Leo Carlsson, Matvei Michkov, or Will Smith, depending on the order of the draft. And to some teams that are in the middle of a rebuild, a team like, for example, Philadelphia might be really, really willing to go after something like that. Who knows? Like, maybe Philadelphia's the first one that came to mind. I don't really know. But some teams might consider one of these picks really, really valuable and would be willing to trade maybe a nice young talent to a team like Montreal. But this 5th overall pick is basically the same as the 1st overall pick last year is what I'm trying to get at. So there are probably going to be a lot of teams, now that they've heard that Kent Hughes says it's not impossible that this pick gets traded, there are probably going to be teams coming and knocking for that 5th overall pick to guarantee themselves something like Will Smith or Matvei Michkov. Now the question is, though, what would you need to take if you're Kent Hughes to trade away the 5th overall pick? Because this thing is valuable. This draft, the top 5 is stacked. You don't want to give this pick away for nothing. Like, you got Kirby Dach for a pretty darn good price last year. Alexander Romanov and, the 13th pick or something? And you get Kirby Dach. But going into this draft, you have the 5th overall pick, which would have been the 1st overall pick last year. Like, you got to hold on to that for dear life. You got to make other teams basically beg you for that pick. And I think there will be teams that are willing to go do it. Who will it be? I don't know. What will they give up? Maybe future draft compensation plus 1 or 2 nice young players. I don't think you're going to get, a superstar. But however, if you, do this kind of thing in a Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, I'd say Winnipeg might come calling. Would I like to trade the 5th overall pick and what could be Will Smith for Pierre-Luc Dubois? I don't think I would, because he only has 1 year left on his contract, and he has stated he wants to be an unrestricted free agent. Or, well, he's going to sign this year, and he's going to be unrestricted free agent next year, so you don't do that. But I'm just saying, something like that for a player of his caliber is not completely out of the question with this 5th overall pick, so it'll be very, very interesting to monitor in the coming days. I thought it was amazing that Kent Hughes just said that. Go check out the Montreal Canadiens YouTube channel. They should have an archived live stream of what just happened. You can go watch for yourself. I just did, and I just had to report to you guys. I mean, I just finished the live stream. I saw this right after. I hit record, and I wanted to talk about it. But thank you for tuning in to this edition of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Help us hit 10K subs. We're not that far away. Yeah, we kind of are, but we're getting there. We're getting close every single day. Really appreciate all the support. Thank you very much. I've been Josh Gosse. We'll catch you in the next one.